you guys, my name is Ashley and I am here to do Music and Makeup Sunday. It's a new segment that I will be doing every Sunday. I will be uploading a video where I talk about a musician or artist or band and do my makeup. It kind of just gives me something to do. I got the inspiration from Sarian's True Crime and Makeup, so we'll see how it goes. Based on the shirt that I'm wearing today, can you guess what artist I'm doing? If you guessed Motley Crue, you guessed wrong, because I'm actually only doing Vince Neil today. The only reason I'm just doing Vince Neil is because I wanted to add some true crime, although Motley Crue altogether has a crazy rep sheet. They all got into a lot of crime. I just wanted to focus on Vince Neil just because I feel like I did not have enough time to do all of Motley Crue and all of Motley Crue's story. If you're interested in all of Motley Crue's story, I would definitely recommend watching The Dirt. So the reason I wanted to add some true crime today is actually because I got Sarian's Venice Fling makeup palette. So I'm pretty excited about this. So I'll be using this palette to create a look based off the Theater of Pain album, which I'll explain why afterwards. So let me quit rambling and let's go. So I'm going to start our story in 1981. At this point, Motley Crue only consisted of Nikki Sixx, which is the bassist, Mick Mars, which was the lead guitarist, and Tommy Lee, which was the drummer. Tommy Lee had actually known Vince Neil from high school, and Tommy Lee was actually the one that kind of brought Vince Neil in and told the guys, hey, let's go check out this guy. I feel like he would be a great lead singer for the band. He's got the look. And at first, Vince Neil kind of decided, no, I'm good with Rock Candy where I'm at. After thinking about it and realizing Rock Candy really wasn't where Vince Neil wanted to be, he decided to take Lee up on his offer and decided that he would go check out Motley Crue. So shortly after Motley Crue brings on Vince Neil, they debut their first album, Too Fast for Love. And it actually sold 20,000 copies, so they got pretty big pretty fast. It was pretty much an overnight thing. In 1982, Motley Crue signs a record deal with Elektra Records, and they go on their first Canadian tour. The whole band is actually arrested in Canada during the Cruising Through Canada tour of 82 for wearing spiked belts, which were considered a dangerous weapon, and possession of porn magazines, which was in Neil's carry-on. This whole thing was a staged PR stunt, and they were all eventually let go. But here's the issue, is after they were all let go, Tommy Lee threw a TV out of the hotel, and the band was banned for life from Toronto. So in 1983, the band played at the US Festival, where they got a lot of recognition. That same year, they came out with the single Shout at the Devil, which they got a lot of recognition as well for their controversial lyrics, and this piqued Ozzy Osbourne's interest and asked Motley Crue to tour with him on his next album, which obviously piqued everybody's interest, because if Ozzy Osbourne was interested, then the rest of the world was interested. In 1984, Motley Crue opens for Ozzy Osbourne's Back to the Moon tour. Things are going well for Motley Crue. But on December 8th of 1984, the whole band and a few extra people were just partying over at Vince Neil's house. Vince Neil's really good friend, Razzle, he was the drummer for the band Hanoi Rocks. They left to go to the liquor store after partying at Neil's house. So they were all liquored up, and Neil was the one driving. Well, Neil lost control of the car, and he actually killed his really good friend Razzle. He hit an oncoming car. The people in the oncoming car were severely physically hurt, as well as both suffered from mental disabilities after the car wreck. Because Razzle was killed in the accident, Vince Neil was charged with manslaughter and driving under the influence. In 1985, Neil was sentenced to 30 days in jail, 5 years probation, and a hefty fine of $2.6 million in restitution fees. Vince Neil ended up only doing 15 days in jail though, due to good behavior. Sorry guys, I'm having a really hard time with this eyeliner while talking. So Motley Crue decides to dedicate their next album, Theater of Pain, to Razzle. And the album actually does really good. They reached number 6 on the top 200 Billboard. So then everything takes a turn for worse, as if it didn't already get worse, but Nikki Sixx suffers from a heroin overdose and is actually pronounced dead for 2 minutes after being revived by a paramedic who, of course, was a Motley Crue fan. The deathly experience was the inspiration for Kickstart My Heart and the album Dr. Feelgood. The band goes on a massive world tour from 1989 to 1990. Decade of Descendants 81 through 91 is released, which is basically a greatest hits album, and Neil's daughter Skylar is born from his first marriage to Reese Ruddle. At this point in 1992, the band agrees that Vince Neil is no longer a contributing band member and kicks him out of the band. I don't know why, but this reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have seen School of Rock, but when Jack Black gets like kicked out of his band, he's like, "How dare you kick me out of the band?" I don't know why I think of that, but I do. Anytime somebody gets kicked out of any band, that's what I think of. Anyways, moving on, the band decides that, wow, I put way too much on this. But the band decides that Neil is no longer sober. I forgot to mention that they had gotten sober for the Dr. Feelgood album. So Neil breaks his sobriety and starts drinking again. I don't know what else he does. I'm guessing cocaine was involved, but I don't know that for a fact. But Neil's drinking was way out of control at this point, and the band decided that because he was no longer sober and I guess his mind was elsewhere, he had began a racing team, I guess, and it was called Vince Neil Racing, and that actually came to an end pretty quickly because he was in a racing accident and no longer wanted to drive. So at this point, Vince Neil is kicked out of his band and he's no longer doing his car racing thing, but he was like, y'all are gonna kick me out of the band, that's fine, I'll just create my own. So he does, and he comes out with his first album, Exposed, and the album actually does very well. And the album is actually debuted number 13 on the Billboard charts, which, to be on the Billboard charts in general is very good, but to be able to do it on your own after being in a band like Motley Crue, I think is really good. But what do I know? So do you remember me telling you guys about Skylar in 1991, his daughter was born? Well, in 1995, Skylar is diagnosed with Wilms tumor. It's a kidney cancer affecting children, according to an article Neil wrote for People. After 6 operations, chemotherapy, and radiation, she died on August 15th, 1995. So rest in peace, Skylar. After this, Neil founded the Skylar Neil Memorial Fund to raise awareness and funds for other families and children suffering from illnesses like Skylar did. Carved in Stone album is released along with the single Skylar song. Unfortunately, the album did not do well. But at this point, I can't even imagine how Vince Neil is even surviving. He accidentally kills his best friend Razzle. His bandmate suffers from an overdose and he assumed that his bandmate had died and didn't. So he had already had a lot of death surrounding him at this point. And then his poor daughter, who is just a little girl, dies from cancer. And then the album that he contributes to her life, it just doesn't do well. So I can't even imagine how Vince Neil is feeling at this point, and I could definitely see how somebody could go down a spiral through all of this. After his daughter passes, he still keeps touring with his solo band, and in 1997, the band actually decides to reunite and again be sober. In 2002, though, Neil was arrested for assault charges from an incident involving producer Michael Schumann, who accused Neil of attacking him outside of a bar and grill in West Hollywood. Vince pled no contest and was sentenced to community service and fines. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. In 2003, a sex worker in Nevada accused Vince of choking her and throwing her against a wall. Neil, again, pled no contest and was sentenced to a 30-day suspended jail term and a $1,000 fine and an anger management course. For those of you who don't know what suspended jail term means, it basically means that the judge said, okay, you're gonna have to do 30 days in jail, but then was like, you know what? Never mind, you're good. You don't have to serve that time. It's fine. So he basically got off scot-free. He just had to pay like a $1,000 fine, which when you're Vince Neil, what's $1,000 to you? It's absolutely nothing. Again, we are not done with Vince Neil's crime sheet. I also got powder all over my Motley Crue shirt. Okay. So in 2004, Neil was accused of punching a sound man named Michael Talbert during a solo show in Dallas. A warrant was issued for his arrest, but it's very unclear on how the case turned out. There's no reportings on it, so I'm not sure if the fan was just kind of like, whatever, it's cool, it's Vince Neil, or what really happened, which seems to be a reoccurring thing here. But then in 2007, Neil was arrested on suspicion of drunk driving in Las Vegas. TMZ reported that he pled no contest to reckless driving charges to duck the DUI charges. So in 2008, Motley Crue releases the Saints of Los Angeles album, which is actually one of my favorite albums. I really like it. If you are a Motley Crue fan, awesome. Let me know what your favorite album is. If you're not, I would definitely recommend with either starting off with Saints of Los Angeles or Dr. Feelgood. Those are like my two favorite albums that Motley Crue has come out with. Of course, I do like their single song, Shout at the Devil. That used to be my favorite when I was little. I know, my dad was crazy. He let me listen to Motley Crue as a little kid. So then, in 2010, Neil releases another solo album called Tattoos and Tequila, because nothing says sobriety like an album called Tattoos and Tequila. In 2010, Neil was arrested yet again on suspicion of drunk driving. Again, in Las Vegas. He eventually pled guilty. He pled guilty this time, so I'm proud of you, Vince Neil, for not pleading no contest again. He pled guilty to DUI and was sentenced to 15 days in jail and 15 days house arrest. Fines and various re-education programs were also mandatory. Again, he doesn't stop there. In April 2011, Neil was charged with battery after allegedly bursting into a comedy show at the Las Vegas Hilton and getting into an argument with his ex-girlfriend, Alicia Jacobs. He pled guilty to disorderly conduct and was charged and fined. Comedian Hal Sparks was performing that night and tweeted about the alleged incident. So in 2015, Motley Crue does their retirement tour, which their retirement tour ended with them all signing a contract basically stating that they would never ever tour again, and this was going to be it. It's because it seems like the band was just beyond toxic when they were together, and they could not seem to stay sober together. But then in 2016, a fan approaches Vince Neil for an autograph. For whatever reason, this angered Vince Neil, and I don't know what Vince Neil's thinking was, but he pulled her to the ground by her hair and was actually restrained by, of all people, get this, Nicolas Cage. Neil ended up pleading guilty to the case, and it dragged all the way into 2019, where his attorneys basically accused Neil of not paying over $180,000 in legal fees stemming from this one incident. $180,000. I totally understand that the incident created a lot of havoc, but at the same time, I can't imagine paying $180,000 in legal fees for something that I'm pleading guilty to. I don't really know enough about the law system to really, I guess, speak on it, but $180,000 in lawyer fees for something that you're pleading guilty to seems a little excessive. But I guess, like, if you say you're gonna pay $180,000 for that, you probably should pay it. Moving on. So then 2018, The Dirt comes out, which is a movie about Motley Crue. They actually based it off the book that they wrote. And the book is very good. So if you haven't read it, I would highly recommend. There's a lot of information that's in the book that's not really talked about in the movie. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that Pamela Anderson is not even mentioned in the movie. And that was a big part of Tommy Lee's life. Like, he was married to her for quite a while. And yeah, that whole marriage was kind of crazy. But this is not about Tommy Lee. This is about Vince Neil. So basically, there's a lot of stuff missing, but it does talk about a lot of the things that I'm talking about here today about Vince Neil. So due to The Dirt getting just so much recognition, in 2020, Motley Crue, or I think this happened in 2019, they like decided that they were going to tour again. So basically they decided they're going to rip up that contract and they were going to start touring again, which like is awesome for the younger fans like me, whom I'm only 25, so I've never actually gotten to see Motley Crue live, but I do kind of worry how it's going to affect their mental health and their sobriety. I do follow all of them on social media, and it seems like they're all doing very well. Vince Neil actually has got his life together. He's remarried now. He's lost all this weight, and he looks really great. And Tommy Lee seems to have really settled down because he was pretty crazy back in the day from what I saw. Him and Vince Neil were probably I don't even want to say that because Nikki Sixx was pretty crazy too, but yeah, they were all really crazy, and it seems like now that they're all like basically normal people for the most part, and they've kind of got their life together. Just as kind of like a rundown, Mick Mars kind of always stayed out of the trouble. He never really got into a lot of trouble. He also was a little bit older than everybody else in the band and also suffered from some sort of bone disease. I think it's kind of like MS. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I'll put it in the description below. I don't claim to be this huge Motley Crue fan, you guys, either. I just decided to do Vince Neil's bio just because of the fact that he did have such a long rap sheet, and I think a lot of people kind of know of his crime relating to Razzle, but I feel like it's not really talked about. And even when talking to some people, they didn't know that this even happened. I don't know if it's just because it's a different generation. They can't remember it because we weren't really born yet. But yeah, like a lot of people did not know that, you know, Vince Neil actually accidentally murdered his best friend due to drinking and driving. I have a lot of mixed feelings about him only doing 15 days, and here's why. I get that he is a public figure and he is in the spotlight, and so people I'm sure wanted him to keep making music with Motley Crue, which is why they didn't give him such a harsh sentence. And I'm sure Vince Neil had a lot of remorse for what he did. From what I've read and from what I've seen, Vince Neil truly regrets that whole situation. But regretting it and learning from it is two completely different things, and I don't think Vince Neil fully learned from it. I'm hoping he has now, but you guys saw he still continued to get DUIs, get in trouble. He really struggled with his sobriety for a very long time, and I just feel like if you are truly learning from what you've done in the past, then you would have been sober and you would have never touched alcohol or drugs ever again in your life. Again, it's not me, so I can't judge. I just have mixed feelings on it. And I feel like if it were any other person, by the time the second or third DUI came around, it would have been a hard jail time or a lot more consequences than I think Neil actually had. Also, you guys, because I already know it's going to happen, please don't come at me saying that alcoholism is a disease, and when you're in that state of mind, you don't really think about the consequences, you don't think about other people, you don't think about any of that stuff. I 100% understand and get that. I just think that because he was clearly a danger to himself and others around him while he was drinking, he should have gotten a higher sentence, or the probation terms obviously did not last because he was clearly drinking and not being sober while he was on probation, and he was still getting away with it. And that's what I think is the issue, is because of the fact that he was famous, he got all of these, I guess, second chances. I just have such mixed feelings, especially because I am a Motley Crue fan. I do love their music. I am super excited about them possibly touring again. Of course, they are not touring right now due to coronavirus. I fear that he goes down that path again. I hope he doesn't, because it seems like he's really got it together. He's got like a beautiful wife on his arm that's been super supportive of him. So good on her, and good on Vince Neil for finally getting sober, because he is sober now and he's doing really well. So good on him for doing that. Also, in the beginning of this video, I don't know why I did that. Also, in the beginning of this video, I forgot to say a disclaimer. I have no affiliation with the band. I have no rights to their music, so I don't own any rights to their music. So the music that you hear, I don't own any of that. If YouTube or whoever needs me to take it down, please just let me know. I'm not really sure. This is my first video, like first real video doing this, so I'm not really sure like what the rules are and what I can and can't do. So I apologize in advance if I'm doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing. All the information that I have and that I'm telling you guys, the links are below, so don't come at me for like misinformation. I just like read a bunch of articles and went from there. So if I do have some incorrect information, just write in the comments below. I can't, like, it's really hard to fact check some of this information, I'm not gonna lie. I know it's not an excuse, but yeah. Of course, it's Motley Crue, so you know I have to add some black, but I'm probably gonna have to do most of this off camera because I sometimes have issues with my lipsticks, I'm not gonna lie. Also, I really like this lipstick. It's like a cheap one, but I really like it. Okay, I need to finish this off camera. Also, because I low-key did endorse this lipstick. If any of you are gonna go out and try this brand, it's probably gonna feel garbage at first. So you can't, you know how like you can't judge a book by its cover, you can't judge this lipstick by first application. You kind of have to put it on, it looks like blotchy almost, and then you kind of have to go through, and I take like some of it off and then just do one of these, and you kind of fill it in, but then it mattifies and has like all day wear. I mean, I eat, I drink with this stuff on, and I don't ever really have a problem. Okay, yeah, so this is the finished look. This is inspired by, oh, there's like a little blotchiness over here. I don't like that. This was inspired by the Theater of Pain album, which I had stated before. So the Theater of Pain is like an ombre, like purpley to red, pinkish type thing. And yeah, so that's what inspired me to do this, just because like I said, the album was dedicated to Razzle, so I decided to do something based off that. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's any bands that you would like me to do. I already have next week's band and I'm really excited about it. And it'll probably be a lot more information than this, so I'm sorry if this one was short. I really didn't think that I would have enough time to do all of Motley Crue, just because, again, their rap sheets are so long, and it's a lot of research, you guys. I went into this thinking that, oh, this would be so easy. I love music, I love bands, I love researching about bands, I'm a band nerd, but like, after researching and like doing everything, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of information. So if you'd like me to do a full video on Motley Crue, let me know. I will research. I will do what you guys want. But if there are any other bands, please let me know, or any other musicians. I would love to look them up and do a makeup tutorial. Just let me know. Thanks.